Virtual Eats Guru, where barbecue and grilling is made tasty. So today we have a real treat. So in advance of Christmas, we're doing a bone-in prime rib for basically Christmas party. And this is one of our family's all-time favorite, and probably my all-time favorite of anything that I do. It's relatively straightforward, pretty easy. And if you like this type of content, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your types of prime rib recipes. I know there's a lot out there. This is one way to do it, and hope you enjoy it. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to coat everything in oil, olive oil, both front, the top, bottom, and I'll actually flip it over and start on the bottom and do my stuff there and then flip it over, because once we flip it over, it's pretty much going to be where it's at. And then it's interesting because for a number of years I used to make my own rub. And it consisted of garlic salt, onion salt, some brown sugar, some other herbs and things along those lines. And then this one, and I'll put a picture in the video so you can see it close up with the ingredients. I've just found this from Grill Shakers, and it's Hickory is this season up, and it's got sea salt, onion, garlic salt, brown sugar, molasses, mustard, chili pepper, black pepper, vinegar powder, citric acid, parsley, and then naturally flavored hickory. This stuff tastes phenomenal on prime rib. And then what we'll do is we're actually going to cut 1/4-inch slits down into the prime rib in this fat cap, and then we're going to put slivers of garlic in each one of those, and that'll help take not only that flavor of the rub and the smoke and all that, but help drop it down into the meat. And then we'll add some fresh rosemary on it too to give it kind of that savory flavor. But man, this is one of the best. I trimmed it up, cleaned it up a little bit, and so it's ready to go. So I'll get it flipped over, throw some oil on it, throw some rub on it, and then we'll get to work on the garlic and then get to work on throwing it on the grill. Alright, so we're good and rubbed up, and you can see, I really worked the oil in, I really worked the rub in, I really want this to bind with it. I'm going to leave this overnight open in the refrigerator, to let the salt set in, and I'm going to transfer it, once I get all the garlic cloves in, I'm going to transfer it to what I'm actually going to cook it in. And I'll actually have a rack in a disposable pan or whatever that I'm going to catch the drippings with, because I want to actually add that into my au jus. And I'm going to put some beef broth down in the bottom of it so that I get a little bit of extra moisture while it's cooking, and then get that good flavor to go along with it. So, add that into the au jus. You get all these different flavors dropping down in there, and you can add it back in when you're eating your prime rib. So this thing smells terrific. I mean, it's totally simple, easy. You can do your own rubs, to your own tasty preference. This is mine. But this thing is going to be awesome smoked. Okay, so I've got my garlic cut up, and you're just cutting it up into little wedges like this. And we're just going to take the knife, and we're going to be cutting down about 1/4 inch and kind of wiggling it, and then we're just going to be sticking the garlic down in there with the top sticking out so it roasts some of the garlic. And what we're doing there is we're just getting it to where this rub and marinade can penetrate down into the meat and get down in there. As well as the garlic and that kind of stuff. It just adds a ton of flavor, and you'll taste it all the way through in the meat. So with that, and I just space them about 1 inch apart by 1 inch back, and just make it symmetrical. It also looks pretty aesthetically pleasing. So we eat with our eyes, but the garlic also tastes excellent. It roasts, and it gets the smoky flavor and the rub flavor, and I like the garlic too. Once it's done eating with the meat too, I'll take a piece of it and a piece of the meat, and man, it's really tasty. So with that, I will get to putting in the garlic. Okay, so we've got our garlic spaced out and about 1/4 inch down in there, and looks good. This thing smells amazing. You get all those different flavors already. And the finishing touch is I do fresh rosemary. You can do dried rosemary, that's maybe a little bit easier. It's not nearly as strong either though, so if you use fresh, just keep in mind it's got a lot more kick to it, if you will. So dried rosemary you can put on a bit more. This one I'll just take it and just kind of spread it out and put it throughout. But I mean, the smells and the flavors you get with what we're doing here is fantastic. I mean, I know we're smoking it out on the Traeger, but I've done them in the oven too before, and geez, I mean, the smells are just amazing. But it's gonna smell good up there. But when you add in that smoky flavor and the wood-fired flavor, I mean, it just adds a whole other dimension to your Christmas prime rib, or whatever you're doing prime rib for special occasions. So I'll add some rosemary on there. We're gonna let it sit overnight, and I'll move it to another container, and I'll show you a picture of that so that you can see what I'm talking about and how that works. And then tomorrow I'll show you adding in the beef broth and that type of stuff. But we're well on our way. Looking forward to this one. Alright, so we've gotten some really good time in the fridge with it open, and I'm now letting it get to room temperature. And so that's something worth talking about too with prime ribs. If you don't have the time to go all night, to let the rub soak in, you can also put your rub on and do what you're doing and leave it out for a couple hours, let it get to room temperature, and it'll absorb that way. I'm doing a little bit of a hybrid of both. I'm not getting the full time that I want in the fridge because this thing's huge. It's 20 plus pounds, and we're eating a little bit earlier with the folks coming over, so I'm gonna have to put it on pretty early in the morning. So anyways, it's just another thing you can do is basically if you don't have all night, and even if you do it all night, I'd still recommend taking it out, letting it get to room temperature before you put on the grill. And then I'll try to take some pictures, but I don't have great lighting outside and it'll be dark. And so basically I'll set it at first. I'll get the grill up to 400 plus. If it gets up to anything above 400, I'm good with that. And I'll put it on, and I'll let it be on there for about 30 minutes at that setting, and then I'm gonna turn it down to 250. So we're gonna smoke this at 250, and I'm probably somewhere between 10, 11 hours, just depending on how it goes. This one we're gonna go to medium rare, so that's about 135 internal temp. I'll put 2 different probes in it so I can kind of get a feel to make sure that I'm accurate. And then the folks that we have coming over, some like it medium rare, some like it well, or more done. And what you can do is, those end cuts are great for that, for folks that like that. And to take it a step further, if you don't have enough end cuts, or the meat that's not as or is less rare that folks that like it, you can actually take a skillet and you can fry it on a skillet. You throw in a little bit of butter or something like that. Even if you want to do an herb butter, you can make it, really kind of spice it up. But then you're just kind of cooking the red parts so people feel better about it. But that way you don't overcook the whole prime rib, and you can kind of cater to everybody that's coming. And like I said, I'm going to add in this beef broth. So I'm going to put the beef stock in here, and I'll check it every so often. And if it's evaporated, I'll add in some water. But the drippings will start coming down in it too, so it'll hold in those drippings. I put about a tablespoon of the rub down in the pan too, so that it'll reinforce with that au jus and the flavors, so that everything all the way through is going to taste really good, and you can use that to put on top of it. We're also making an herb horseradish that, depending on how much my wife wants to do to what degree on the recipe, but I'll have that so you can see what we do with horseradish. It's pretty good. I'm not a horseradish fan, but folks that are really like it, so that works. I do like the au jus. So anyways, gonna let this guy sit a little bit longer, get the grill going, get it on, and then check on it every so often and see what kind of progress we're making. But gosh, does it smell good. Alright, so we got the prime rib smoking, and it's coming along real nicely. It's a huge piece of meat. And so tonight, because we're having a Christmas party, I'm just going to take pictures and some videos and things like that, and then have captions about how it turned out and stuff like that, and have comments and things like that. But I won't be able to do the typical stuff that I do at the end of some of these videos. But I did want to talk about something that is really important when you go through this process. So, that's a 20+ pound piece of meat bone in, and every type of meat is different and kind of handles itself differently depending on what you're doing. Prime rib's a little bit more difficult in some respects because you never get to that stay temperature like you do with, say, a brisket or like a pork butt, where it sits at 160 to 170 and you get that time where it takes forever to get past there. And so last night I set, I can't tell you how important these temp probes are. And one trick to make sure that they're accurate is to boil water and make sure that they're reading properly. This one actually has 2 temp probes. So I have 2 temp probes stuck in at different places on the prime rib so that I can make sure that I'm gauged pretty well. And they're within a couple degrees of each other, so that's fine. But I set an alarm on this because, obviously I put this on, way early in the morning and went back to bed. And I wanted to make sure, since I was smoking it at 250, that it didn't come to temperature too fast. And sure enough, in about 4.5, 5 hours, give or take, it got close to like 95, 96 degrees. And at that time, that was going too fast, because it would have, by the time I needed it done in the afternoon, I wouldn't have it would have been done too early and I'd have to pull it off too early. So we're trying to get an internal temperature of 130, 135. We're gonna pull it and let it rest. And again, that's taste and preference. I'm doing that because I want medium rare, because the folks that are coming, I got a wide range of folks. Some like it, well done, some like it medium, some like it medium rare. So I'm gonna have the center medium rare, and we'll cut the center and then we'll cut off the ends. And so whatever someone wants, we'll decide on that. And then, we can also sear it in the skillet if we need to. But this thing was invaluable, because had it not warned me, we'd be eating prime rib for breakfast or brunch, which would not have been good. So, that worked really good. I was able to, what I did is I took it from 250, I knocked it down to 180. I opened it up a bit, I let it kind of cool off, kind of slow way down. And so now I'm just maintaining a good temperature. And so, I've got about 3 more hours until folks are gonna be here and about when we're gonna eat. And so I'm just gonna watch it. And I now want to start getting it up into, the eventually 115, 120, then, 130, and then I'll start watching real close and then pull it off and let it rest. So, but if you're doing a big chunk of meat, and even smaller meats, but really big meats, you really need to use the thermometers, the digital thermometers, because without them, you're kind of without a rudder. And like I've always said, it's not about how long it takes, really. It really is about what temperatures and how can you control it and kind of control how that meat, performs over a period of time. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to do a horseradish mix that we really like. And even I'm not a horseradish guy, but I actually like it too. So, and that's some au jus, and then we'll show you pictures and videos of the prime rib of the folks enjoying it tonight. There. And so we're going to make the horseradish sauce. And again, this is a lot of taste and preference stuff, so you can do whatever that you want to do. But basically, you start out with 2 to 3 tablespoons of like a horseradish sauce, or you can do raw horseradish if you want. That's good too. I use this sauce; it just makes it a little bit easier. And then I chopped up some of the fresh rosemary that we had that we used on the prime rib itself, and then some basil, oregano. Just a teaspoon of those. You don't need a ton of them. You don't want to overdo it. And then 1/2 cup of sour cream, full cup of whole cream or heavy cream, and then lime juice that we squeeze. It's basically just pretty much a full lime. And then this is smoked salt that I make myself, and I'll put a link up here if you want to see how I smoke the salt. You can check that out. And it's actually tied into doing smoked salted caramel, so it's pretty good. And then just some pepper that we'll grind on there. And I'll put all the detailed instructions in the comments section below, or in the more information below in this video, so you don't have to sit there and figure out everything I'm doing and the measurements and stuff like that. But with that, I'll get these mixing, and then we'll do a little bit of a taste test. But this should be a really good sauce for folks that like a horseradish sauce, and maybe a little different variation of it. So I'll start mixing it up. Yes, that's how we did. That's very tasty. That's really good. That's going to go really good with the prime rib. So with that too, if you haven't decided on what you're going to do for the holidays yet, we're doing this as a Christmas deal. But for Thanksgiving, we did a turkey. And so if you want to see an interesting way to do a turkey on the Traeger or pellet grill or smoke or whatever you want to do, we did a spatchcock turkey that was pretty interesting. So if you want to check that one out, check out the video there and maybe choose to do a turkey or a prime rib or a ham too. We even did some ham too. So anyways, we got lots to choose from, but looking forward to getting that prime rib